Our next question comes from Mariam Saiba in London. Assalamu alaikum, and thank you for your kind comments about faith matters. Thank you very much. Shamaila Saiba, she's asking that in the West, it's often the norm for men to propose for marriage, and a similar practice prevails in, she writes, Islamic cultures, where it's the men's side that presents proposals for marriage. She's obviously referring to a man here in the West dropping to one knee and proposing marriage to a woman, although in modern days you often see it in reverse. And I suppose that's what she's getting at, that I would like to know whether it's considered wrong, she writes quite specifically, for the girl's side within Islamic circles, or for the woman herself through people around her, to present a proposal for marriage according to Islamic teachings.
I think this is a particular example for culture, mixing culture with religion. Every country has their own ways to propose, but they are never regulated by religion as such. And the best example that it can't be forbidden in Islam is the beloved example of Hazrat Khatija, that she herself, Raziyallahu Ta'ala anha, proposed the marriage to the Holy Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. And I think there is no need to say anything else beyond that, because Hazrat Khatija is in every respect one of the most comprehensive examples of what Islam and what the Holy Prophet ﷺ was thinking in regard to many, many matters, including this one.
For the benefit of our viewers who perhaps are hearing Hazrat Khadija's name for the first time, perhaps you could just elaborate on the situation that arose and how that marriage was actually proposed.
Hazrat Khadija was a very well-off businesswoman at the time of the Holy Prophet ﷺ. She was significantly older than the Holy Prophet ﷺ. At the time of the proposal, she was 40 years old, while the Holy Prophet ﷺ was 25 years old, which again sets a groundbreaking example about, does a wife have to be younger than her husband, or is it permissible that a wife can be older than her husband? And she herself, seeing the beautiful character of the Holy Prophet ﷺ at her time, proposed to the Holy Prophet, and the Holy Prophet ﷺ accepted the marriage proposal. So this then again sets the example that there is nothing against proposing for a woman or for the family of a woman to a man. Although it might be worth mentioning that there should be the way how you do it should be in the right way. So the Islam does prescribe, as we said before, how men and women should deal with each other, and but within those boundaries there is nothing that prevents or prohibits a woman to try to propose to a man for marriage.
Jazakumullah for that. Dr. Saab, just as Shamaila Saib has highlighted as well, here we have the example, no person less than the Holy Prophet ﷺ sells in his marriage to Hazrat Khatija radiyallahu anha, and all kinds of cultural taboos which are sometimes associated with Islam. As Shamaila Saiba said, here was a lady who was older than the person. It was her proposing the marriage. She was the wealthier of the two. Indeed, he was employed by her, and it was his righteousness and the way he conducted himself which actually appealed. And it almost puts aside at a stroke that very first example, all these kind of misnomers and about Islam says this and Islam prescribes that, yet here we have the example of the noble Prophet himself, and it sort of puts all these things to one side.
Absolutely. I mean, the Quran says, لَقَدْ كَانَ لَكُمْ فِي رَسُولِ اللَّهِ أُسْوَةٌ حَسَنَةٌ. He is the most excellent exemplar, not only for Arab society at that time, but for the entire of mankind, for life immemorial. And we see that, especially if we look at the marriages of the Holy Prophet ﷺ, all of them had some aspect of training for Muslims and for the world after that. And the first marriage, as Sister has said and you have explained, was breaking down of taboos that were existent in Arab society at that time, some which exist in societies around the world even today. And Islam actually has blown them away to smithereens. And the one other aspect that could be mentioned, that she was a widow twice over, and therefore the marriage of a widow to a single person on his first marriage was another taboo that was broken by this very remarkable marriage, and a very successful and a very happy union it was. And the Prophet ﷺ often would be taken to tears when the mention of Hazrat Khadija after she had passed away and that was the love and sentiments that he had for this great lady. And absolutely, this is the answer to this question in totality.
Jazakumullah. You both.
So it could be described as revolutionary.
Revolutionary,
Yes.
and
Even today,
over
people are asking
1400
these
years ago.
questions. And if we consider the fact that it happened over 100 years ago,
Yeah.
1,400 years,
Absolutely.
it shows that it was a revolutionary sort of,
Well, I don't know if there'll be a mad rush suddenly in women proposing to men as a result of our answers, but I think I think it lays to rest any questions. And thank you, Miriam Saiba, for your question. Jazakumullah. Just as a reminder to our viewers, Faith Matters at mta.tv for any thoughts, comments, or observations you may have.